It's time for the Mac Geek Gab. And once again, Pilot Pete here, bringing you this quick tip of the week. If you're on your phone and you want to take a screenshot of an entire web page, not just what's on your screen, but everything that's below and to the left and to the right, what you do is take your normal screenshot, and when you pull up that window, at the top, there's two little tabs. One says screen and one says full page. If you tap the full page tab, then you get a scrolling window to the right, which will allow you to scroll left and right and up and down to get the entire web page captured. More quick tips like this, plus your questions answered today on the Mac Geek Gab, number 1004 for Monday, October 23rd.
It's 10:05.
I knew that. For 10:05 for Monday, October 23rd, 2023.
Folks, and indeed, welcome to Mac Geek Gab 1005. This is the show where every week, not just episode 1005, but most episodes, we share your quick tips like that, or our quick tips like that. We share your questions that you send in, and we try to answer those questions. We share some cool stuff found so that we can all learn about some fun new gadgets and software and all the things that make our technology lives better. We loosely string it together into an agenda such that we each have the best shot at learning at least 5 new things every single time we get together. Sponsors for this episode, MGG 1005, unlike 1004. You did such a great job with the opening quick tip, Pete, that I didn't want to redo it. So, I figured we'd just roll with it. Sponsors for this episode include linkedin.com/MGG, where you can go and post your first job for free. And we will talk more about that in a few minutes. For now, here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And here in Lee, New Hampshire, is Pilot Pete. And I was just trying to prove, Dave, that time is indeed not linear. I liked last week so much, I was trying to go back and do it again. But,
there's nothing wrong with that, except the parts that are incorrect. But, other than that, like, sure.
Well, that takes you a lot longer to get to show 2000 if you keep doing that. So.
Right. Yeah, much better to introduce this as show 1021, because then we'll just get our way to 2000. We'll be there by Christmas. It'd be
exactly.
Great. Abdul has our next quick tip, Pete, and says, with the standby mode that came as part of iOS 17, when my morning alarm goes off, I get nice big buttons on a widget to snooze or turn off my alarm. However, I have also discovered that if I simply rotate my phone from, landscape mode, which is the standby mode, to portrait mode, leaving it on the charger, that also turns off the alarm. This saves me from having to fumble to find the off button. I like that. That's a good little tip.
My follow-on to that tip, so I don't have to fumble to find the off button, is to throw it across the room as hard as I can. That shuts it up too, but it gets expensive really fast. So.
It's not cheap. And, those iPhone 15 Pro Maxes are in short supply still, so you kind of, you have to go without for a little while.
Exactly. Excuse the dog barking in the background if you can hear it. Sorry
No,
about
we don't
that.
hear it. AI Magic seems to have removed it, at least for me. Yeah.
Well, apparently either UPS or FedEx has shown up. I'm not sure which flavor of the day it is she's going after, but
nice.
Oh goodness. So JP also wrote in with a guess it was more of a question actually at first, but he was talking about how come iOS 17 doesn't remember his alarm tone, and you wrote him back about that. But so I started playing with that, and that's when I discovered, and this is more of a public service announcement along with a quick tip. I had my alarm set and I played it to see what tone I had, and I could barely hear it. Dave, I literally had to have the phone up next to my ear to hear the alarm, and I'm going, what's going on? Why is this, So I went, all right. Well, when I turned up the volume while the alarm was playing, guess what it turned off? The alarm. I went, all right. So I turned it
off.
I
of course it does that because that's another way to stop the alarm is to hit one of the volume buttons. So there's like a bonus little quick tip, right? So
bingo. Yep. Yeah. So the volume up on the alarm, on the timer, turned the volume up, and I set another one. And by the way, you can set one for as little as, 2 seconds, probably, I guess. I didn't realize you could go less than a minute, but while I was playing with it, I went, oh,
wait, slow down. How do you set a timer?
You can set a timer for 10 seconds.
Really?
5 seconds. I thought you had to do it at least a minute.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. You know what? I've seen that there before. Never thought to use it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So
carry on, please.
Another quick tip in the middle of a quick tip.
Yep.
Which is turning into a longer tip.
Yeah.
But
right.
Here's the thing. What it boiled down to is no matter how many times I turned the alarm volume up, it would go off and play, and I'd have to hold the phone up to my ear, and I go, there's no way on earth I'm waking up to that. I didn't know what to do. So I finally figured it out. I went into settings, sounds and haptics, and moved the slider on ringtone alerts to the desired volume. In my case, all the way up if I want to wake up. It finally remembered the volume of the alarms and timers. So for those of you out there that are going to use your brand new iPhone 15, 15 Pro, Max, whichever one you got, make sure you have gone into sounds and haptics and turned up the volume to an appropriate level, lest you get caught sleeping.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
That would have burned me.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. This is why we do these tips. Tony Lawrence in our Discord at macgeekgab.com/Discord says, I just found out about this. If you zoom a photo in Photos now, crop appears in the upper right corner. If you long press on crop there, you'll get even more options like full screen, original, widescreen, square, and you can, right. That's pretty cool. Apple keeps doing these little things that they don't seem to document anywhere, and then we wind up, with material for the show. Speaking,
I was going to say, Dave, if they documented it, we wouldn't have anything to talk about.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, show. Folks, show's over. New lips again.
All right. Speaking of things that Apple doesn't document, I swear I didn't change what I'm about to talk about here, and yet it burned me, and I had to go change it again. We were watching a movie on Saturday afternoon. It was one of these days where we had like something in the morning and something in the evening, and so it was like, great, Saturday afternoon, we're going to have some chill time. And it's October, and so we were watching I think it was the new Pet Sematary movie or something. It's okay. It's fine. But it's really dark, like visually dark, because a lot of it happens at night. But it was like, and so we were watching during the day, and like, we understand that things are going to be a little like the contrast of sunlight coming in the windows isn't optimal when you're watching like a dark, spooky movie, but fine. Like, we knew that going in, but it was like so dark that there were some scenes where it was like, I can't even see what's going on. And I'm like, this seems too much. And I knew we were watching an HDR version of the movie, high dynamic range.
Yep.
And I also, like, in the back of my head, like, again, we were using this as like an excuse to just chill on the couch a little bit and watch a movie that's okay, but not great. And so it wasn't like, it took me a little bit to start thinking about it. Like, wait a minute. Okay. I think there's something wrong, because something about HDR, if it's shown on a non-HDR screen, now our screen is HDR, our Apple TV is HDR compatible, we have all of the things, but something in my head said, this might not be making it through as HDR. If the TV doesn't know it's HDR, then it's not going to decode this properly, and we're going to get things that are too dark or not looking correct. So I was like, all right, hang on. Is everybody okay with me taking 5 minutes and like troubleshooting? And they were like, yeah, obviously.
See you in an hour, Dave.
No. So I didn't even have to get off the couch, but I went into my Apple TV settings. I went to video and audio, and I realized that I was basically set on Dolby Vision, whatever they call it, Dolby Vision Pro or Dolby Vision thing. And that specifically the match content settings were turned off. What match content does is it says, by default, you're going to be in Dolby Vision mode because your TV supports that and the Apple TV prefers that. But with match content off, it says we're always going to just send everything through and tell the output source, aka the TV, that we're in Dolby Vision mode. Whereas you can tell it to match the content. You can tell it to match dynamic range and also match frame rate. And you can choose either or both of these. And as soon as I turned that on and we resumed the movie, everything was so much better. And I watched, as soon as I pressed play, I watched my TV jump from Dolby Vision mode to HDR mode. And when it did, like, we could see things, like, it was still dark because it was at night, but we could at least see characters on the screen as opposed to just like, I hear the voices. Yeah. So I don't know when this changed, but my TV used to do this and I've never changed it. So it's possible it changed with iOS 17 or tvOS 17, but it's also possible it just changed it somewhere along the line. So again, go into your Apple TV settings, do it like, before you notice a problem. Apple TV settings, video and audio. And when I say Apple TV settings, I mean just the settings app on your Apple TV. Video and audio, match content, and then decide for your setup what you want. For me, I want match dynamic range to be on and match frame rate to be on. I want to let my TV do what my TV is going to be good at. And so it does its thing. Yeah. So
what would happen if you didn't match your frame rate? That seems kind of...
It would adapt it, right? Yeah. Like you, if you're super picky, you might notice like some visual differences, but like
some jumpy.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Like I'm sure there are people. I don't mean to be dismissive of this. It's not a thing I notice, but there are things, say, about sound that I do notice that most people don't.
Notice the audio issues.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you're tuned into that, you'd probably see it. But I figure, why not? Again, my TV is built to do this. Really what it is I want to trust my TV, so let me give it all the information I can and let it decide what to do, as opposed to letting my Apple TV be a filter in the middle there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So so I recommend that. And then, of course, while I was messing around with the Apple TV, I was like, how do you get to the control center again? And you get to the control center on your Apple TV by holding down the TV button, like the
which
button
is right above the volume button.
That's on the current remote.
Apple
correct.
TV remote.
Yeah. But while you're there, you can navigate to the little picture of the home icon if you have HomeKit set up in your home. And from there,
that's why I couldn't do this. I don't have HomeKit set up.
Got it. Yeah. And then you can see your home view, which includes being able to see cameras and all of the things. And it's cool. The camera view, I don't know how long it had been since I had messed with this on there, but I'm, able to see, I have like 8 cameras now. It's crazy. And I'm able to see all of them in a grid view, or I can zoom in on them, and you can set settings for the cameras so that, like, if you have a doorbell, that it automatically interrupts your TV and shows you who's on the door and like those sorts of things. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I need to set up HomeKit, be able to do that then too.
So I have a couple of HomeKit cameras that are actually HomeKit cameras. Like I've got the Eufy cams, right? And those, some of them are HomeKit compatible, but not all. And then for the ones that are not, I run Homebridge. And Homebridge is a piece of software that you run on some computer in your house. You can run it on your Mac. I run it on my disk station, my Synology, in my NAS. You could run it on a Raspberry Pi. It's fairly low CPU usage for what it does. And so it's not a resource hog. And it's a translation engine that takes non-HomeKit stuff and advertises it as HomeKit stuff, is really what it is. Doesn't work with everything, but there are plugins for it for most of the stuff that we would have talked about on the show, including like the Eufy cams that don't have HomeKit.
Sure. Yeah. Is it running like a Matter type thing, or is that?
Nope, it's just a translation engine. It is software, and it works over your Wi-Fi network.
So very cool. All right.
Yep.
I'd like to be able to do that. Yeah, because as I mentioned pre-show, I've got a Eufy cam, and we actually caught some nefarious crud going on at our place in Florida this very week, and I'd love to be able to have that.
I have found that Homebridge or HomeKit in general is just super convenient. I don't for like viewing cameras and controlling things, just because it's so integrated into my phone and all my Apple devices that there's an app for everyone, not just for me, but for everybody in the house to be able to see and manipulate all of these things. And so it's for that reason that I like to run HomeBridge, because I don't have to worry about like, oh, is this device I'm buying specifically HomeKit compatible? Like, I just need to make sure there's a plugin for HomeBridge, and then I'm good to go. And I can use whatever I want to control these things, but my family can just use the Home app. And you know, especially for the cameras, I'm almost always using the Home app. Like for my Ring cameras, I don't, you know, I can run the Ring app. I certainly have it, but it's way easier to just like, you know, go to Control Center and you're good to go.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, I need to set that up on the Mac Mini then and go from there, because I'll tell you that the funny thing that I think I mentioned this once before, you know, hey, S lady, turn off the living room lamp.
Yeah.
Off it goes.
Right.
And hey, S lady, turn on the living room lamp. Unable to do that. Google Apps says you're missing it. You know, like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, S lady, turn on the lamp you just turned off.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And it comes back on, and you're like, oh, how did it get there? Now it's taken to asking me, do you mean the one at, you know, your address?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, no, next door. Turn on that one for me. You know, of course at that address. Yes.
Yeah,
but it's now asking me questions, and I have to answer yes or no to get the light to go. I'm hoping this HomeBridge will fix some of that. Give me the ability to.
Probably not.
No?
I mean, well, because you're using HomeKit, right? If you're using the S Lady to control things, that is HomeKit.
Yeah.
So the HomeBridge isn't going to change any of that.
No.
It's just going to let you add more devices to that.
Okay.
It's the same
confuse
interface.
her even more.
Yeah, correct.
And in turn, confuse myself.
I will say the more smart home devices I get, like the other day, I wanted to change the colors of my outdoor lights. We saw some lights downtown, and I was like, oh, I like that look. Somebody had like green and purple lights like on one of the churches in downtown Durham. I'm like, that looks great. Like, that's what I want for our Halloween lights for outside. And so as I was driving home, I'm telling the S Lady, all right, change front door left to green, change front door right to purple, change driveway to green, change there's another light or whatever. And then there's the one in front of my office. And I know that it's called Office Light. However, since installing that years ago, I have also put 6 lights inside my office that are also part of Office. And so there is this light called Office Light, but I can't address it with my voice, because when I say make Office Light purple, it's like, which one? Do you want Office front left, Office front right, Office mid left, Office mid right, Office back left, Office back right, right? Because I got 6 lights in my office. And it's like, I want none of those. I want just the one on the front of the office, but it's not called Office front or Office driveway or anything. It's not Office outdoor. And so I could not figure out how to do it. So now I need to think about, maybe I do need to change that to be like Office driveway or Office something.
How to go in and rename it.
Delineates what it is and all of that. And then, yes, the next day when I came into my office and turned on the lights, they were all purple, by the way. So
of course they were.
Anyway. All right. One last quick tip. In today's bucket of quick tips comes from listener Rob, who shares that Apple Diagnostics also exists for Apple Silicon. And this was not something he knew. It was also not something I knew. So on Intel Macs, to get into Apple Diagnostics, as soon as you turn on your Mac, you hold the D key on your keyboard, and then it will bring you to Diagnostics. And if D doesn't work, you can do Option D to get there. That's been there for a while. That, at least I've known, and we've shared on the show a few times over the decades. With Apple Silicon, it's there, but it's different. With Apple Silicon, you hold the power button down when you start. This gets you into startup options mode for everything. This is your gateway to all the startup options. However, once you get to the options mode, to get to Diagnostics, press and hold Command D. That's the part I didn't know about. I had no idea.
Right.
So you hold down the power button until you get to options, and you release the power button. And then from there, Command D, hold that down. That will bring you into the options on your the diagnostic mode. I've got a link to these instructions in the show notes. I also have a link to the error codes that are reference codes, Apple calls them, that translate when you see something in the diagnostics report. You can go to this website and see what Apple, how Apple translates that to say, human language. All right, look, I know that there's a lot of you like me out there who are running a small business, right? And these days, every new potential hire can feel like and even be a high stakes wager for your business. And this is why I want to be 100% certain that I have access to the best qualified candidates available. And that's why I know that you're going to be like me and you're going to want to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps us find the right people for our teams faster and for free. This is how we found Sadie here. We've used it for other people as well. LinkedIn Jobs makes it super simple to really narrow it down and find the right person from their massive pool of people, right? You just go post your job for free at linkedin.com/MGG. Then you add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring, And then they have these awesome, simple tools like these screening questions that make it super easy to focus in on the candidates that have just the right skills and just the right, not just like hard skills, but also soft skills, because you can ask some questions and really start to get a feel for who these people are. And then you prioritize who you want to interview. And then obviously in the end, hire. And it's really important to add the right team members because this can have such a huge positive and measurable impact on our businesses. This is why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk with faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/MGG. That's linkedin.com/MGG to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply, and our thanks to LinkedIn Jobs for sponsoring this episode. And while I got you here, I want to talk about a fantastic podcast for you. Leo Laporte hosts a show called This Week in Tech, which is one of the longest-running tech news shows in the world. It launched in 2005 on twit.tv, and in the 18 years since, they've covered every major tech story with some of the biggest names and smartest people by doing a deep dive into the biggest tech stories. A different panel of experts join Leo every Sunday, bringing expert analysis, helpful advice, and entertaining discussions. You'll listen to every episode knowing more about what's happening in the tech world around you. And they deal with some of the biggest issues in the world today, not just computing, Windows, Mac, and Linux, but AI, Twitter/X, cybersecurity, privacy, search, and so much more. Visit twit.tv/twit to subscribe to This Week in Tech. And thanks to Leo and the team for doing this swap with us.
So, Dave, I think it's time we move into questions because I have one for you.
Okay.
Actually, I don't. It's John in Idlewild, California, who writes in, "Hello, gentlemen." Once again, I like being referred to as gentlemen.
They have no idea. Call us what you want. Yeah, that's right.
There we go. All right. I have a cabin rental in the mountains of Southern California, and our county has just added a rule that a 24-hour contact must be posted on a sign on the property. That's nice. Advertise your phone number to the world.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
It's a cabin in the woods, Pete. Like this is off the beaten path.
There you go. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He says, I've added a second line to my iPhone 15 Pro and set it to the local area code. He says, but I would like all calls to this eSIM to go through no matter what the focus mode is on the phone, which I believe is device specific. I'm not sure that it is.
It doesn't have to be. You're correct.
Doesn't have to be. Okay, yeah. So barring adding call twice 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. on the sign, is this possible? What do you think, Dave?
I think there's always a way. I mean, come on, it's what we do. Bullheaded persistence, right? So I don't think it's possible with an eSIM. I don't think you can get that granular with focus modes, right? It's something that Apple certainly could do. It's not difficult software-wise. I just don't think it's there. And it's because both phones will ring in the phone app, right? And so we don't get to, like, the app is the specific thing. And of course, you could say, well, let these specific contacts through, but you don't know who's calling you.
It is.
Yeah, that's the whole point. So let's tug on this thread a little bit. If the phone app isn't the way to do it, is perhaps another app the way? Because if you can have the call come in to one app that only is for that thing, then you can add an app exception to your focus mode or focus modes. And so what I would do, and this will even save you some money, is say thanks but no thanks on that eSIM, or perhaps just transfer that eSIM number so you don't even have to change your signage into Google Voice. It'll cost you $20 to transfer it, one-time fee to transfer a number into Google Voice. And then you log the Google Voice app into that Google Voice numbers account. And maybe you want to even create a separate Gmail account for just that Google Voice number, right? Just so you can have it compartmentalized. If you ever need to give it to someone else to manage for your property, you're not giving them access to your main Gmail account. But either way, log the Google Voice app on your phone in there, and then tell Google Voice to ring, and I'm using air quotes here, ring the app, and then give that app permission to get past your focus modes. And you should be good to go. And you're saving yourself a bunch of money because you're not paying every month for this phone number with the eSIM. It's just there in Google Voice. And if you didn't already get the eSIM, you could go to Google Voice and have them give you a number. It might or might not be available in the specific area code that you're in. But my guess is that probably doesn't matter. These days, everybody can call every area code from their cell phones. And so that's how I would solve this problem. Yeah. I think that's going to be the best way.
I think that's it. Yeah. And if you're determined to have it in that area code, you could probably pay a small fee to Skype annually or something like that.
That's true. Yeah. Right. Well, if you're determined to have it in the area code, Google Voice, you like, he already has the number, so he could transfer it into Google Voice.
Sure. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Google Voice can port most numbers in. There are some that it cannot, but you're right. Skype would be the other answer there. To do the same kind of thing. And you would pay them something, but I think all you'd have to pay them is you'd have to buy some credits to burn for minutes for your incoming calls. Maybe it's been so long since I've done it that I don't know. I think it's free.
Oh, it may, to get a number, to get an outside working number. I don't know that it is, but
maybe not.
Remember.
Maybe not.
And, and let me throw one more curveball in there. I don't know what WhatsApp app may be a way, because you could associate a phone number with WhatsApp. So that's an app that you could No,
well, yes. However, the people calling you would have to call you with WhatsApp. They couldn't just call you with a phone.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And here in the U.S.,
it's not universal.
It's not. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm looking to see about pricing on a Skype number here while we're doing it. I just got a number.
Yeah.
While we're, I'm not going to use this number, but they gave me a number in Illinois, and if I say continue, now it's just going to ask me to log into Skype. So I got
bingo, bango, bongo, done.
Bingo, bango, bongo. Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't know that there's a cost for Skype, but if there is, it's pretty low, and that's a great idea. And that's another, if you had to do this with two different numbers, Google Voice for one, Skype for the other, it'd be good to go.
Oh,
so I don't know. I mean, it's just something. Yeah, something. All right. Bill has our next question, Pete, and Bill asks, a few times recently, someone has used AirDrop to send some PDFs from their Mac to my iPhone. Unfortunately, the files get added to the iBooks app when I want them to be in the Files app. Currently, that means I then share the file with myself from the Books app to the Files app and then delete the PDF from the Books app. I want to make it more efficient. Is there any way to change the default destination/application used by my iPhone when it receives a PDF via AirDrop? Pete?
No. Next question.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll move on.
Sorry, Bill. All right. Look, this is so frustrating. iOS doesn't allow a user to change the default application that opens a specific file type, like a PDF, directly from AirDrop. So when you AirDrop a PDF to an iPhone, it should open in the preview section of the Files app by default. At least that's what's happening for me. So then you can manually choose where to save or open the file with a bit of an extra step. So if you receive a PDF or any other file from AirDrop, you'll see the option to accept the file if it's from someone else. Now, here's the weird thing. From my laptop or from like Debbie's phone, that sort of thing, it doesn't seem to ask permission to receive anymore. And I'm not sure why that is. I haven't figured that one out yet. But I assume it's because it sees... Actually, not Debbie, but for my own, it sees them from the same Apple ID.
From yourself, that's correct.
Yeah.
It presumes that you meant to send that to yourself. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, okay. Then once accepted, the file typically will open in the default app, like Files for app for PDF. But if you want to open it with another app, navigate to where the file is saved, usually in the Downloads folder in your files, and then tap on that file and tap on the share button, the little square with the arrow pointing out.
Yeah.
And from the share sheet, you can usually choose which compatible app you want to open or save the file.
So you have to do it the way he did it. Is essentially it. Yeah.
iOS does not allow you to change the default app to
it's interesting. I have sent PDFs from one iPad to another. I do this a lot with like musical charts and things like that. And I have a few apps on my iPad that will open PDFs. One of them, of course, is like the Books app. One of them is an app called Fourscore that is usually the one I want to use because it lets me mark up scores. And then but I have others like Dropbox, I think will take it, but if not Dropbox, maybe OnSong. And my iPad asks me every time where I want that PDF to go. However, it does not ask me if I want to put it in the Files app. So I wonder if there is some app out there that accepts PDFs, but would simply be a conduit to the files.
Yeah.
And that makes me wonder, hey, would a shortcut show up? If a shortcut was built to accept a PDF, would it land? Would it show me that shortcut? And if so, well, then you could have a shortcut that automatically is going to save it to wherever you want. So that's worth some experimenting because it might be doable.
Yeah. And I wonder, I was going to say it won't help much with iOS 17, but, ask ChatGPT.
Well, if you're
with that shortcut,
if you have the pro version if the paid version of ChatGPT, it links with Bing now, so you can get current information. Just tell it to use Bing and it'll search. So that's back
because it always yells at me and goes, "Hey, I'm only good through January 22."
Right, but if you use GPT-4 and point it at Bing, it will get current stuff. So, or just use Bing AI, and then you don't even have to pay for ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So,
and then I'm going to jump right in real quickly with a quick tip because we've been talking about where to put PDF files. iOS, or not, it's actually more of a cool stuff found. iOS, iPad OS, GoodReader, worth every penny. It is a great PDF manipulate, and it opens music, it opens videos, all that kind of stuff. But I love me some GoodReader because I can get in there and I can highlight things, I can mark things up, I can write on them, I can do notes. I use it when flying. I actually pull up our flight plan release and I write little notes on there and that sort of thing. And in the event I need a paper copy at the end, I can just print out the PDF with all my notes. And I used to keep a fuel log on it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it was great. They've actually provided us with another app now to do that same sort of thing.
Sure.
That where you just fill in the fields instead of having to write down the numbers on the old PDF document. It's just fill in the fields now. How much fuel do you have? What time did you get here?
So I understand habits and momentum, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Or
we can fix that.
If it ain't broke, so yes, in the interest of following the show's mantra of if it ain't broke, fix it till it is.
Right on.
Have you compared GoodReader with PDF Expert on your phone or your iPad for doing all of those PDF things. I know you didn't have PDF Expert when you headed down this path, and so GoodReader was the path. But I'm just curious how it would compare, apples to apples kind of thing.
That's a good question. I have not used that in iOS. I need so to do, and I will do that.
Because you have a subscription. Like if you have the subscription on your Mac, it
should transfer.
It works.
Over to my iOS.
Exactly. Yeah,
absolutely. I'll do that. And by the way, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't consider it stealing. I'm using my daughter's version of it because she has an educational discount with a .edu email. Let me tell you, that's a huge discount for PDF Expert.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, the thing is though, like what does it cost you to earn that discount, Pete?
Yeah, right. I mean, only a few tens of thousands of dollars to pay for her tuition to get that EDU email address.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. There you go.
So
there you go. All right. Jürgen next.
Yeah. Let me pull that up. I had it well hidden from myself.
Good.
So Jürgen writes in, "Hi guys, you've talked some about passkeys, and I think I understand the theory behind it." Good, Jürgen, tell me. Since you can now use them with Amazon and Google, I'm scratching my head about the practical side. I guess a not so uncommon use case would be Amazon. I use it with my iPhone, iPad, iMac, or Mac, and I don't momentum, and I don't want to use a single device for login. Then there's my wife who likes to use my account for her shopping. Gee, I wonder why. So what it comes down to is the following. Can I use one passkey on all of my devices and also give it to my wife to use on her devices for my Amazon or whatever account? I hope the simple answer is yes, but maybe you can elaborate a little. Thanks a lot for your great work in putting out a fantastic show every single time we try.
Every time we try. So this was a good one because I had dug into passkeys when they first were announced, and I think Best Buy was the first site that I could use a passkey with. I didn't do much with it past that. However, after Jürgen's question came in, I thought, you know what? Why not? Let me dig back in because as Jürgen points out, Amazon and Google and many others now are supporting passkeys. So, and 1Password, which is the password manager I still use, is supporting passkeys. Okay. So it's like, all right, well, now I can do all of this. So I launched, I went to Amazon, I went into my account settings, and I went and looked and created a passkey. They made it very easy. 1Password popped up and said, do you want to store this passkey in 1Password? If not, I could have stored it in my iCloud keychain because either one will take it. Now, it just so happens that, like Jürgen, I already have my Amazon login shared with Lisa. I don't think Jürgen has his shared with Lisa. He has his shared with his wife. Yeah. I have mine shared with my wife. Right. I just wanted to make that clear. Maybe he has it shared with Lisa. If he does, I really want to wonder why she buys things on my account, not Jürgen's account.
Not Jürgen's,
Yeah.
I mean, Lisa, get this fixed.
Let's get this fixed.
If you're listening, Lisa, please.
Yeah, please. But, and really we share it because she shares Kindle books with me, right? It's the easiest way. I know you can share Kindle books amongst accounts, but it's way easier if you just log both Kindles into the thing and then you're fine.
We have the whole family on our Amazon, the kids buy stuff. And you just have to remember to, in my case, ship it here to my house and not to my daughter in Florida.
Oh,
so change the shipping address to the right one. Yeah.
And so I added the passkey and I saw it appear in 1Password. And then I looked on Lisa's computer and it appears in her 1Password. And I've looked here just now in the studio and the passkey appears in my 1Password here. And so, yes, it just works. Now, Amazon is interesting. I also set up, I thought maybe it was Google or maybe it was Amazon that told me this, that said, if you have set up two-factor authentication, we will still ask for the second factor, even though you're using a passkey, which seems like it seems counterintuitive to me, but it is another layer of security. And it seems not uncommon. Maybe it was Google that told me this because I went and set up a passkey for my Google account to my main Google account. So, because I clearly don't have 2FA on for my Amazon account. It's telling me that in 1Password right now. But Yeah, it just works. Now, I don't share a group of passwords with iCloud Keychain with anyone. So I cannot test that passkeys will sync across that. I will assume that they would, but I haven't tested that part of it yet. So if you're using iCloud Keychain, test that before you go to rely on it. But my guess is it would. Like, why wouldn't it? You're sharing it. It's a passkey. Like, that's the whole point.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But it's possible that you would need to have your wife set up her own passkey for your Amazon account that then is synced only to her devices, if that's how Apple's decided to do it. And that's the part I don't know. The weird part about passkeys and right now is that in order to create them, you have a username and password that you log in as, and then you create this passkey. The passkey is convenient and secure for logging you in, but there still is the login vector, and I call it a login vector, but it's also an attack vector of your username and password, right? So just be aware of that. Like, this doesn't make your username and password go away. It just gives you a more secure way to log in such that you're not passing your username and password around, but it still exists. So you want to keep those passwords long, secure, out from prying eyes, all of those things.
You know, that's a great point, because I got to say, I'm going to set up passkey on Amazon. I didn't realize they were already doing that. Yeah. I have a pretty simple one so that my daughter can remember it to log in. And so I need to fix that. Even though I do have 2FA, it seems to keep her logged in, that I only have to pass that to her occasionally. Yeah. But therein lies a problem. Because once she's in, she stays in, and glad you pointed that out. It can be an issue. For sure. Okay.
All right. Shall we move to David?
I think we shall. David writes in, "Howdy, gents. My daughter has a MacBook Pro that has had charging issues for years." Well, I've got a daughter that charges things too. Oh, different kind of charging.
That's it. Yeah, we're on to a different topic now, Pete. Yeah.
Finally, this year, Apple Care expired, and we are faced with paying several $100s to fix it. Clearly, this MacBook Pro is a dud, and I need to speak with someone at Apple with whom I can work. And so far, they point in a myriad of directions. I remember years ago, MGG described wrestling with Apple Care. Can you let me know which one it was, or provide me with suggestions in dealing with Apple Care? Many thanks, David.
Yeah. So the department that you're thinking of, David, is what is called Apple's Customer Relations Department. And that was, and I think it still is their name for it. My name for it is, the Apple Customer Service Ninjas that are skilled and empowered to solve problems. And the way it used to work is if you had an issue where you tried to solve it through normal means and just couldn't get resolution that felt satisfactory to you, there was one more layer. And you would call the main Apple phone number, and whoever answered, you would ask, please put me in touch with customer relations. They knew that name. They would put you in touch with them. And then, somebody at customer relations would look at your case and make a decision as to whether, you deserved. I know I got at least one new Mac out of them once because there was just a problem. It was like, we've had this thing in for service a couple times. There was a Thunderbolt issue on an old, I think it was even pre-Intel iMac. In fact, it definitely was. And they were like, okay, well, I said, I think you should replace it. And that was sort of the trick with customer relations, is you had to, often they wouldn't offer that. But if you said, hey, look, I think the right solution is you need to replace this, they'd say, yep, we agree. And like at that point in time, that was how I got my first Intel iMac, because they replaced the old one with the current one. It was great. Nice. But you can't do that anymore. That path does not exist. However, the customer relations department, I think, still exists. Certainly that role exists. A lot of companies call it like the office of the president or whatever. It's the people that are the top people any of us are realistically going to get to solve this problem. The way to do it now is you start with an AppleCare case and like, get a support.
It sounds from his letter like he did too. Sounds like this is well documented. So
yeah, exactly. And you needed to do this in the past too, but start with a support ticket. And I found that using the iPhone app or the chat on the web interface is the best way. Certainly you can call somebody and talk to them if you like that part too, but I like the chat interface. It lets me kind of, do my thing, and you get really good people with the chat interface. And so document everything, make sure they know everything. And after it goes to a few rounds, ask them, say, be as polite as you can, but say, hey, look, we're going around and around on this here. It's not getting anywhere. I'd like to be escalated to customer relations. And that has worked for me. But I haven't done it I haven't had a need to do it in probably 2 years. I'm trying to think. It was 2 or 3 years ago was the last time I did this. And I did get in touch with someone that was in this other department. And they were like, yeah, we're so sorry about this. We're going to take care of this. And they wound up giving me a bunch of stuff. And I think we wound up with a free iPhone out of it, actually, because like my son had sent his iPhone in for service and they lost it. And
Whoops.
It was just stuck. And it was like, you've had this for 10 days. Where is it? And they're like, so we don't know. I was like, great. Can we fix that? And what they told us was, look, yeah, we're going to send you a new phone. And for your troubles, we're going to send you a couple of sets of AirPods and stuff, which we gave to the kids, which was great. And then they said, look, that other iPhone is in our system being serviced somewhere. In all likelihood, it will surface and it will be repaired and it will be shipped back to you. Under no circumstances are you to call us or talk to us about the fact that this extra phone has arrived at your house. You keep it, you use it, you sell it, you do whatever you want with it. But part of the deal is we don't want to have to figure this out again. And I was like, okay, yep, got it. And sure enough, it did. Yeah.
So, don't say nothing.
Yeah. They're like, we want this headache to go away just like you do. And so your part in the deal is promising that you're not going to, dig this headache back up. So yeah, it was through the support ticket system that I finally, it went enough rounds where I said, I would like to speak to customer relations. And you have to plead your case. You have to say, sure, I want this. Now, sometimes they will point you in that direction and say, you might want to ask to talk to customer relations, but it really has to come from you. So,
gotcha.
Yep. That's cool. So hopefully that still exists. I don't know. Like I said, it's been a while.
And one other hint, and everybody knows this, but you know what? Be nice too when you ask, right? Because it's not the person who's trying to help you. It's not their fault. They didn't make the rules. They didn't break your phone. They didn't break your computer. And I'm the first person to admit that sometimes I am so frustrated by the time I'm talking to some of these people. I'm going, won't you just listen to me? Can't do that.
Nope.
Not if you want them to help. And they're happy to help if you're nice.
Well, that's the thing. Most people are happy to help each other. I mean, look, we do the show every week. We're happy to, the point is to help. My dad, I know I've told this story on the show before, but I'll share it again because it was formative for me. I was like 17, 16 maybe. And, we didn't have cell phones. We might have had a portable phone by that point, like a, radio portable in the house. But we had a phone on the wall with a cable in the kitchen. And I was on the phone, on hold, waiting for someone had wronged me. I had bought something and they had shipped me the wrong thing. And I called up and I said, I need to speak to customer service. Okay, great. Yeah. So I'm in the hold queue for 10 minutes.
I'm going to chew them a new one.
And that's what I'm saying. Like while I'm on hold, I'm standing in the kitchen because that's where the phone was. And my dad I think he was like prepping dinner or whatever. And he was like, and I was like, I can't wait to get this person on the phone. I'm going to rip them a new one. They really screwed this up. And my dad very calmly and sarcastically says, oh, that sounds great. So the one person in the world who can help you, that's the person you're going to yell at, right? And I was super deflated because obviously he was right. Yeah, exactly. It was dang it. And I'm like, no, I guess not. Yep, you're right. He's like, they aren't the one who screwed this up. And he's like, even if they were, it's like, there's still the one person in the world who can help you. And I was like, crap. And I was really upset about it in the moment. And I was bummed that he like took the wind out of my sails. But that was one of the most important life lessons my dad ever taught me. So yeah,
Let me know
be
how
nice.
that works out for you, Dave, when you call up and
That was kind of it. It was like, oh, I'm curious to see how that works out for you. And obviously, as soon as he said it, it was clear to me that he was absolutely correct, and that has served me well throughout my life. It's like, yeah, it costs nothing. Please and thank you cost nothing.
Right.
Saying I need help costs nothing, and yet it buys you so much.
Yeah.
So, speaking of I need help, David has a question. In fact, we've got two questions about Eero stuff, mesh networking. Yeah. So David writes, and he says, I want to discuss Eero Plus. As you may recall, several years ago, Eero Secure was available for just $29.99 a year, offering a range of features that included advanced security, content filtering, ad blocking, activity insights, a weekly activity report, and VPN. However, I was disappointed to learn that this option has been discontinued, leaving the only thing as an Eero Plus subscription for $99 a year, which incorporates additional things like 1Password, Encrypt Me, and Malwarebytes. The truth is, I no longer even find this Eero Plus subscription to be worth the price. I transferred all my passwords to iCloud Keychain, so I don't need 1Password. I don't feel the need for Malwarebytes to run automatically. I can run it manually. It says Encrypt Me has not lived up to the expectations that I wanted. And so he says, what is out there? Do I need anything? Do you have any guidance on similar products or services that would give me the features as the discontinued features as Eero Secure? And so I dug into this with David a little bit, and he said really he's looking for DNS filtering and ad blocking. And so, okay, fine. As a former website owner, I can tell you that, ad blocking can pull revenues away from websites. However, I said that as a website owner who was attempted, at least, to be very responsible with the types of ads that we put on and tried not to make them annoying, because I know I want you to read my site, not just be all consumed with ads. So, be that as it may, OpenDNS, the home security options that they offer are possibly what you're looking for here. And they have Family Shield is one of the things that OpenDNS offers. And this will do things like you can have it, block adult content and all sorts of things like that.
I haven't used them in years. I said, they'll stop gambling devices, adult content, all kinds of things.
Yeah. So
they use their own DNS servers.
Well, that's how it works. You point yourself at you point your router at OpenDNS's Family Shield name servers, and then you're good to go. So
this is what's really strange: 208.67.222.222 or .220.220. That's their servers.
Well,
their DNS servers.
That's the DNS. That's the DNS servers for OpenDNS Home.
Yes.
For Family Shield, they're a little different, and you just want to go to the website. I'll put them. I'll put them in the in the.
That's why it's just
notes.
One of those numbers that stuck in my head. I can't get rid of. It's like there's so many other things I want to remember. Yet I remember OpenDNS's.
Yeah, exactly. but yeah, they have, and they've been OpenDNS started as their own company. Now they're owned by Cisco. But
nice.
These things exist still. And you can get, if you want stats on all kinds of things, you can pay $20 a year and get OpenDNS Home VIP. So you can get, but the OpenDNS Home might even be better for you because it's going to let you really customize what you're doing as opposed to Family Shield, which is just kind of set it and forget it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's going to get you there. I think
at some point I moved away from it because Debbie runs her travel agency stuff from here and was having difficulty getting to some of the sites. And it's like, but that's not an adult site. And really, that's all I'm filtering. But
yeah,
okay,
I did that. Lisa had a problem getting to, she likes to knit, and there's a site called Ravelry, and that would show up in the adult site filters for OpenDNS. And I'm sure there was a good reason, maybe because it's just like knitting patterns, user-generated content, like people are putting them. So maybe there were knitting patterns that ran, on one side or the other of OpenDNS's or whoever created the filters. But I was able to go in to OpenDNS Home and configure an exception for Ravelry and to get it to let that get through.
Right. Yeah.
And that actually, and especially as the kids got older, it was like, okay, well, wait a minute. I don't need like to have as many of these filters in place. And so it really was nice to be able to whitelist, different things and create block lists and allow lists and all of that stuff. So yeah, it was, I liked I don't use it anymore. I've been using Cloudflare's DNS from my home here, and that seems to work well. Okay. But I don't have any filters in place for it. So yeah. One other Eero related question comes from listener Jerry, who asks, "I'm having an issue with my Eero Wi-Fi system. I added this Wi-Fi after cutting Cox cable and getting GoNet speed fiber. It seems Eero won't allow access to various websites through some email links. On my iPhone at home, if I turn off Wi-Fi and use cellular, then I can access this. This has been going on since I installed Eero in March. I've contacted Eero and they suggest I add the site names and preferences, but most times I don't know as I can't access them due to there being a link." This doesn't sound, I've seen this issue, and it's not just an Eero issue. I think it's an issue with your GoNet speed fiber. I think their DNS servers are not doing the lookups properly. And so and this is why I just said I'm using Cloudflare's DNS. It's because I'm choosing not to use Fidium Fiber's DNS, because Fidium Fiber's DNS, I don't know like how reliable that is. It's, but I know that Cloudflare runs half the internet. And so I use Cloudflare's DNS, and again, I install it on my router. Cloudflare's DNS is simple. It's even easier to remember than OpenDNS because it's 1.1.1.1.
No, wait a minute. How am I supposed to remember that, Dave?
So and again, I put Cloudflare's DNS in my router, and then that means everything at my home uses my router for DNS and therefore uses Cloudflare DNS. And that has worked really, really well for me.
I should probably do that. I think I'm using the default Fidium Fiber DNS.
Yeah.
Seems to be working okay, but yeah.
I figured why not use Cloudflare's DNS? It was kind of my thought.
Since it's what they do, I imagine there's zero downtime,
right.
That they've got backup servers and everything else. So.
Right. Yeah. It's and I use Cloudflare DNS for all of our domains too, like to host the DNS records. So if I have to like create a thing like, I don't know, live.macgeekgab.com, I do that at Cloudflare's DNS, and then I can point it and all that good stuff. So
nice.
Yep. Yupper. All right, where are we on time? I want to take a minute, Pete, and thank all of the folks whose premium subscriptions have renewed or who have contributed even manually to premium in since we did the last episode. We are recording this one early because I have to go to PepCom this week down in New York. So it's a smaller batch than usual. And if you think your name should have been in because you're listening on Monday or Tuesday, don't worry. We'll get you next time. We just haven't seen it yet because time...
Because it's not Monday yet, really.
Because time is linear-ish for us.
For us.
We choose to see it that way.
For us mere mortals.
So again, this is all at macgeekgab.com/premium. And it is, I always say this, it is optional. It is not mandatory. Simply by listening to the show, sending in your questions, sharing the show, those are all things you can do to support us that cost you nothing. However, we absolutely appreciate and rely on the support of the segment of you who can and wish to support us directly.
Dave, tell them it's mandatory. Tell them it's mandatory.
I just can't do it. I just can't do it to myself. Okay. But I will say, I said it earlier in the episode, right? I need help. Costs nothing. We need help. This helps us. This is absolutely something that is part of our revenue infrastructure here with Mac Geek Gab. It's not mandatory for each and every one of you to do, but those of you that can do it and who choose to do it, thank you. And it really does make a difference, and it allows us to continue to produce this show.
Right?
So
that money didn't fall into their pockets, and they're sharing it with us.
No, we're very thankful for this. So let's see. I will try and do this efficiently here. We got $50 contributions from Edward in Manhattan Beach and Robert in Knoxville. Thank you to you both. We got $25 contributions from Robin in Andover, Andrew in Durham, Jed in Jersey City, Scott in North Little Rock, and Gene in Denver. And I missed Patrick from Little Rock's $50 contribution in that group. So thank you to all of you. And then a $15 contribution from Bob in La Peche. And then $10 contributions from Timothy in West Windsor, Frank in Voorhees, Barry in Des Plaines. Where are we here? Brian in Danbury, Santiago in Palm City, and John in Wake Forest. Thank you to all of you. And again, it's all at macgeekgab.com/premium. If you want to be involved with that, we absolutely appreciate it because we need help. It's just how it works. It's how it's always been that way. This is nothing new. It's like the ads cover part of it. You cover part of it. We're one big happy family here. It's great. And with that, we have some cool stuff found to share here, Pete.
We do.
We do.
And
we do.
Oh no, where I can't find it. All right.
So,
I was looking for the agenda. It was on the wrong screen.
Well,
you got two screens. I've got to pick one.
You got to pick one. Yeah. Saurabh in Discord found this or told us about a website that he's used for a long time. Somebody was asking in Discord, how do you know what commands to use from the terminal? Those defaults write commands that you use to change some of those settings that don't appear anywhere else. Somebody was asking, how do you find what those commands are? And Saurabh was like, I use macOS-defaults.com. This website is it's just got so many things, and they are organized by category. You've got ones for the Finder, ones for the desktop, the trackpad, mission control, and then there's miscellaneous, of course, but just so many different things. And you click on it, and it'll tell you all these defaults write commands. It's amazing. So yeah, as soon as I found that, I was like, oh, wait a minute. And then actually other listeners are like, Dave, did you see this? You got to include this in the show. It's like, yeah, I agree. Yeah. Craziness. I don't if you know of things like this, please tell us, because this was one of those things that came out because someone asked a question. And again, we all help each other in the Discord. And so Saurabh was like, I just use this. It's like, aha, you know about this. The rest of us, not necessarily.
No clue.
No clue. Yeah, exactly. Or if we did, we forgot about it. Andrew has a cool stuff found sort of encased in a quick tip here. He says, I recently picked up a Samsung smart monitor and have been using my M1 MacBook Pro M1 Pro MacBook Pro in clamshell mode, but I found that I couldn't adjust the volume using the keyboard controls on the Apple external keyboard. Then I was poking around in Rogue Amoeba's SoundSource and found an option called Super Volume Keys. I turned it on. Boom. That's all it took. Now my volume controls work. Yes, this is one of these magic things. And I had forgotten about talking about quick tips that we forgot about. I had forgotten about this option in SoundSource, but I use it. And as soon as he was, as he was talking about it, I'm like, wait, why am I able to control my volume with my volume keys? And it was like, oh, right, SoundSource. Yes, I also use this. So yeah, SoundSource is great. In addition to that one little option that is truly kind of buried, what SoundSource really lets you do is choose a different audio output device and volume level per app. So you can say, oh, I want alerts to go. Well, you can do that in system preferences, but you can say, I want my music, Apple Music to go through my big speakers, but I want, Safari sounds to go through the speakers in my Mac or whatever. Or, I always want this to go to my headphones.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's a great little app. And it's just one of those things that is so fundamentally necessary that I just can't even think about it. And then you can set effects on each output, right? So you can say, well, this app, I want to have some EQ on it, and this app, no. And so, yeah, it's one of those things that is, I can't even, I couldn't live without it.
Right.
And that one feature that Andrew, the what's it called? Smart volume keys. That is huge. Like if you're using a third party monitor, that's the way to go. So yeah. You got one from Bob for us?
Yeah. So Bob wrote in, and let me find exactly where he wrote. The short story is he had one called I think it was fire shake. My shake or something like that. Now I can find it. Not seeing it. I'll find it here in a second. I found my answer to Bob, but I don't see what he wrote. The long and short of it is there are disaster apps, which you too can live in a disaster movie. But in the USA, there's one like CAL FIRE that puts out, hey, there's fire near you, be on the alert. Flood apps. Australia has fires near me. The United States has National Weather Service, tornado warnings, that sort of thing. And I think it's called My Shake. I'm not seeing
it is. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the app that he wrote about, which is kind of like an earlier warning on earthquakes. It allows him to, it gives him a few seconds.
Yep.
Hey, here it is. Now get to safety, warn others around you, get to a safer area of the building or outside or what have you. So, so I did a little research, and that they're all over the place. The United States, like I said, has CAL FIRE. Australia has fires near me. The National Weather Service has tornado warnings. Tornado by the American Red Cross. Storm Shield notifies users of severe weather alerts based on your location. Europe has Mediterranean Seismological Center offers one called Lastquake, providing real-time earthquake alerts. And Taiwan has Weather Bureau earthquake alerts and apps like that. Japan, one of the most advanced earthquake early warning systems in the world. They have Yurekuru, Yurekuru, Yurekuru call, which receives these alerts. Mexico has the Sistema de Alerta Sísmica Mexicano, or SASMEX, which is a seismic alerting system. So the point is, I've gone through all of these. You're supposed to memorize them and have it now. No, Dave's put some in the show notes as we talk, but search for the disaster in your area,
right?
And look through the apps and see what you might want as an early alert, early warning system.
Interesting.
So, that there's some of those out there, and I think that was kind of done in the wake or came up to him, I think, in the wake of about 3 weeks ago now. Everybody got the
yes.
No matter where you were, no matter whether your phone was on silent or what, unless your phone was off, you got the alert, and it scared the big Jesus out of you.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
What's that? Oh, just a test. This is a test of the emergency broadcast system. Okay,
yeah.
Emergency alert system. I knew it was coming, and it still surprised me, startled me, and made me go, whoa. Maybe that's why I had my alerts volume way down.
Yeah, we happened to be at a local fair. We were at the Freiburg Fair that day and walking through like one of the exhibits of like the barns of cows or something.
Yeah.
And what was interesting is there were three guys sitting there in front of their cows and their phones all went off. And one of the guys was like, "Oh yeah, I told you this was going to happen." And I looked at Lisa and I'm like, "How come our phones didn't go off? Like this was the moment that this was supposed to happen." Yeah. And 10 seconds later, our phones went off at the same time. So it was like, okay, there you go. Yep, got it.
No, just network delay,
Yep, that's right. Yep. So, I'm putting links to these apps in the show notes for everybody. Of course, the show notes are at macgeekgab.com, and the show notes for this episode specifically are mgg.fm/1005. Because that's what episode we are. We have time for...
I tried to change it.
You did. Yeah. In fact, you did a great job with it. You were so confident with it that I was like, wait, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure this is 1005, right? 1004 came out on Monday.
Even though it was on the screen right below me. You know what I did? I actually read it off the green screen at the top of our agenda.
Oh, did I not update that? Yeah, that's on me.
Neither did I. So self-inflicted.
All right. Well, I'm going to change it now because otherwise, when I update it for 1006, I'll actually update it to 1005. Because
we'll do it all over
again.
again.
Smart. Yeah, exactly.
Learn from our mistakes.
RodL is smart, and in our Discord, he shared a new thing called macOS Containers, and this is the macOS Containers project. And it refers to, the containers part of it refers to Docker containers. Docker being these lightweight little containers that you can run to do different things. And, we've talked about using them for a variety of things on the show. One thing that Docker containers could not previously do that now the macOS Containers project lets them do is run macOS inside a container on macOS. Right? So you can get Docker containers or build Docker containers for macOS and run them on macOS. So if you have some macOS app that you want to run inside a container, and the nice part about a container is it's kind of a static environment, doesn't change based on the things that around it that change. This is a way to go. And so I've got a link in the show notes to the Containers project, and then also a link to an OS 10 Daily or an OS X Daily, I'm pretty sure it's OS 10 Daily article that talks through using some of these and how to do it. And so this is absolutely, a thing for nerds, but it's all installable via Homebrew, and you can really kind of get rolling with this. So it's pretty exciting that this exists. But yeah, it's fun.
Well, I'm thinking it won't run on any other machine but a Mac already running.
I would assume that to be true, but I don't know that to be true. But I think that's correct. Yeah. So that is.
You haven't heard about those in a long time. Remember the Hackintosh computers?
Yeah, there's still people out there using them.
Okay.
It's.
I would think it would be harder now with Apple Silicon.
You're still, my guess is you're only doing it on Intel. Does anybody know? Feedback at macgeekgab.com is where we would love to hear from you.
That's where you should write to us about it. Feedback at macgeekgab.com.
I think he said feedback at macgeekgab.com, folks.
That's what I said.
It is. I heard it. I also heard you say it was Mac Geek Gab 1004, so I don't know. Do we even trust this?
Time is linear. Time is fluid.
Yeah,
you know what else is fluid? The band. And they're playing. I hear them.
The band is playing. Yeah, time. What did Frank Zappa say that music decorates time? He said it far more eloquently than I did. Music is
I see the point.
Time, but yeah, it's like, what did he? Gosh, he said it. Without music to decorate it, time is just a bunch of boring production deadlines or dates by which bills must be paid. So.
Yes. Those fine folks that write to us every month and don't understand when we don't write back.
That's right. Time is boring. All right. I will put a link to that quote in the show notes too, so we all have it. Thanks for hanging out with us, folks. Thanks for sending in all your quick tips and your cool stuff found and your questions and all of that. thanks for the last hour plus of your time. That really is an honor to spend it with you, and we look forward to doing it again next week. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. Please subscribe. Whether or not, once you are subscribed, share the show with a friend.
Do it. Do it now.
Thanks to CashFly for providing all the bandwidth to get the show from us to you. Thanks to our sponsor, of course, linkedin.com/MGG. You can post your first job for free.
Dave, you got any other shows?
We have lots of other shows. They can find them somewhere, Pete.
All right.
I don't know. What does your shirt say? Does your shirt say it today?
It do say it.
All right.
Let's see if I can get it from here. I'll even put it down so everyone else can read it.
Well, Pete's getting his shirt ready. Go listen to his show. So there I was for aviation enthusiasts. What's your shirt say?
Right there in big white letters on a black shirt, it says, "Don't get caught."
It's good advice. Really, really good advice.
See ya.
Later.